Hey everyone! So welcome to the stream. I am Sarah, and today we're going to be doing an acrylic painting. This week's theme is lighthouse. So we did a lighthouse drawing last night, and we're going to be doing a lighthouse today. I've got it pulled up on my screen. This is the reference photo of what we're going to be painting today. Now, the actual photo of this, the lighthouse looks slightly different. So if I veer a little bit from this reference photo, it's because I'm looking at the actual photograph of this. I didn't do this reference photo. This was done by somebody else. And the same person who wrote my lesson plan. So sometimes I veer a little bit from the lesson plan, but, as long as you're sticking with me, it's going to look pretty close to this. Like, it's not going to be that far off. All right. So this is the reference photo. If you want to see this for yourself, you can join my Discord, which I have down at the bottom of my page here. You can see the overlay. Also, somewhere on my page, there should be a button that says Discord. That should take you right to it. So join my Discord and you will see the reference photos. There's actually a separate channel just for reference photos. I just started this today because I realized that I needed a place where it didn't get pushed off of the page or anything like that. So only reference photos go in there, so you can look at every reference photo that I have done in my lessons so far this year. All right, let's get started. So you'll see here that I've got some supplies. So I'm going to go over really quick the supplies that I'm going to be using today. And if you don't have exactly what I've got, that's okay. I'm going to try to give you some options. All right, so you'll notice a paper towel because, of course, we are painting. It's messy. Also, because it's messy, I've got paper. I just use like kind of a butcher block paper. I happen to use the white, but I put down, and I'll reuse that paper multiple times unless it just gets incredibly messy, but usually I try to reuse it a bunch. I've got my canvas, and I use a 9x12. I've got a palette to put my paints in, a palette knife to mix the paints with, and then I've got my brushes. Now let me talk to you about the brushes. All right, so these are well loved. This is called a 3/4 wash brush, but also you could get a size 10 or 12 filbert. Filbert just means that it's a flat brush with this curved top like that. The rounded top is the filbert part. So you could get a size 10 or 12 filbert and that would be fine. This is a size 6 round brush, and it's called round because it's pointed at the top. So it's round. You could also use a size 4 or 8, but I like 6. It's right in the middle. Okay. Water. That's important. And then paints. All right. So here's the deal with the paints. I know I talk about this every time, but it's really important that you know. You need 5 colors. 5. Red, blue, and yellow. Those are your 3 primary colors. Brown and white. This darkens things, this lightens things. That's it. You don't need any fancy colors. Now, the colors I'm using specifically are naphthol crimson, phthalocyanine blue or phthalo blue, cadmium yellow medium, and you'll find now everything's saying cadmium free, and that's because cadmium is a metal, and so paints do have, or used to have, heavy metals in them, which is why, especially oil paint, you could get something called heavy metal poisoning. I've known people that have gotten that from just using oil paints too much with their hands, and because it's got metal, it slowly seeps into your skin. Well, oil paints are worse because it mixes with the oils in your skin. Acrylics aren't too bad because they wash off with water. So you don't really have to worry with acrylics, but they've started making them cadmium free anyway. So there you go. Medium. This is burnt umber, and it's kind of a little bit of a reddish brown. And this is titanium white. And there are multiple kinds of white, zinc white, mixing white. There's another one I'm not thinking of, but titanium is the one you want because the other ones don't have as much power when it comes to mixing. Okay. Even the one called mixing white. I know, right? The irony. Okay. Ultimately, though, what you need is a white and a brown and your 3 primary colors. So if you can get those, there are kits that have basic colors, and they might have like an ultramarine blue instead of a phthalo blue. That's fine. Your paintings will still look pretty close to mine. The idea is mostly just having those basics. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I need to put on an apron. I highly recommend acrylic paints are permanent. Acrylic is forever, just like diamonds. So I'm going to wear an apron because I don't want acrylic paint forever on my clothing. So there you go. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to be using our large brush, and we're going to mix a little bit of the sky blue. So we're going to mix some of our blue. And usually what I do is I squeeze to a count. So I squeeze 1, 2. So that's what I just did. So that was 2 drops. 1, 2. And I think the number while I'm squeezing, and I squeeze all of my paints with the same pressure. And it's just like a way of measuring. Other than actually measuring, there's not really a precise way to measure. So I'm going to put equal amounts of white. 1, 2. I just purchased more white. I had to order some. Normally I'd go to the store, but you know, Corona. Hashtag Corona. So I ordered some more white. I am almost out. But we're doing even amounts of white and the blue. So we're just going to mix those up. Now the lesson plan I'm using says to use ultramarine blue. This is a good example. I'm not using ultramarine blue. So my blue is going to be a little bit different than the one that's in the picture. Now, the only difference between my blue and ultramarine blue is that mine is a warmer blue. The ultramarine is a cooler blue. So if I wanted to cool this down, what could I do? Well, cool colors have more purple in them. Warm colors have more yellow in them. Hang on one sec. I'll be right back. I actually have a color wheel I can show you. All right. So here we go. All right, so you've got yellow and purple are on the opposite sides of the color wheel. See that? See, let's look at this side. There we go. So our complementary colors. Oh, look, this has like a nice little thing that points and says complementary. So there you go. Our complementary colors are yellow and purple. What that means is that they mix to make gray or brown. What also that means is that we can use them to tone. So if we add a little bit of yellow to this, it's going to green it up a little bit, right? So if I have blue and I add a little bit of yellow, it's gonna, oops, we're missing the color. It's gonna come to here a little bit, right? If I have blue and I add a little bit of purple, it's gonna come to here. This is an ultramarine blue. So what we could do, we want to make this like a little bit more ultramarine. We're gonna add a little bit of red to it. So I'm just gonna wipe that, add a little bit of red. And that should tone that right down. I might have added too much red, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's nice. Phthalo blue is really powerful. It's more powerful than ultramarine blue. It covers a lot more. So it's less translucent. So it's better for mixing. Well, what's good about that is that you don't need as much of it. What's bad about it is if you accidentally use too much, you're kind of screwed. You know, so, all right, so this toned this down, and I don't know if you can see this, but this was my original blue. Oops, some red in there. Okay. This was my original blue, and this is my new blue. So you can see how much cooler this is. It's got more purple in it. So that's what we were going for. Okay. So I'm going to wipe as much of this off as I can. And then I'm going to take my paper towel and just wipe. You don't want that drying on there, because it'll be a pain in the butt later to get off. So, all right. I can already tell that my bangs are going to annoy me because they're freshly washed, and whenever they're freshly washed, they like to be all down in my face. So, I'm going to clip these out of the way. All right. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get any air bubbles out of this brush because it's been sitting there dry. So I'm going to put it in my cup of water, and I'm going to press it down on the bottom of the cup. See those bubbles coming up? It's getting all the air out. So I'm just pressing it down on the bottom a couple of times, just back and forth, just till I get all the air bubbles out. And this is going to help your paint be more consistent. Oops. It's a little slippery. Now, incidentally, I'm going to show you when you're cleaning your brush, I'm going to show you what that looks like while we have clear water. So say I've got paint on my brush. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to push down back and forth, just like I did, but just maybe a little bit faster. So it's almost like I'm painting the bottom. So like if you were trying to paint the bottom of your cup, like that. I'm going in slow motion, but that is how you clean your brush. And then you just wipe like that. Okay. Let's pick up some of this. Now my brush has water on it, and if I just stick my brush in the paint will go down, and then my water will continue because it's a layer after. So we want to mix it so there's no layer of water underneath the paint. So I just come in to the edge of the paint there, just like right at the edge, and flip my brush back and forth, just kind of dipping in a little bit and swirling around just a little. And what that does is it mixes the water with the paint. It also acts as a lubricant, and it makes your paint more fluid when you go to actually put it down on your surface. So let's go ahead and do that. Now notice, yesterday I did a portrait. It was a landscape, but it was portrait orientation, meaning vertical. But today we're actually doing horizontal. I don't know if I exactly agree with their choice to do horizontal because the lighthouse is rather short in the reference photo, so I'm going to go with it. But it does go up to the top of the painting, and I'm not sure how I like that. But, we'll go with it. Anyway, broad strokes means long strokes. So I'm going to pick up some paint and go back and forth, just like that. Now, notice I've got something that's happening called dry brushing. See when it goes like this and it's not like a solid, and it's catching. What it's doing is it's catching on the little teeth, the texture on the canvas. That means I don't have enough water. So I pick up a little bit of water and come in and I'm mixing it in. So remember we do that mix in there. And that will make it more fluid. Now, dry brushing has its purposes. So it's not that you never want to dry brush, but you use it as a technique. You don't generally want that to happen when you're trying to cover an area like this, because it means you're not really covering it, and it just makes it more frustrating for you as the artist. So as soon as you see it start to dry brush, that means you probably need a little bit more water. Now, there's another thing you can do. I've got something called a matte medium. So matte medium is basically something you can add besides water that will help you keep your paint texture consistent. Like, it doesn't water it down at all. It keeps it still paint-like, but it just makes it more fluid. Or rather, it makes it less opaque. Water makes it less opaque. Matte medium does not. What does opaque mean, you say? Opaque means, just in case you don't know, because I do have young viewers, opaque means that you cannot see through it. Translucent means that you can see through it. You can tell that there's color there, but you can see through it. If it was transparent, you'd be able to see through it entirely. Like you wouldn't even see the color. Because if you can see a color, that means not all of the light is going through. Okay, so we're only going about halfway down. I'm going to get a little bit more water. And we want this to stay a little bit wet because we're going to be mixing in our clouds directly on the canvas. I don't mess around with no, you know, the paint, mixing the paint in the palette. That's for sissies. We're going to do it directly on the canvas. Okay, so let's come. We're going to do right about halfway. Now, it's okay if we don't have a perfectly straight line because we're going to be coming up with our water at the bottom. And I'm just kidding about mixing in your palette. If you wanted to mix your paint in your palette, that's no problem. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. I'm going to get some white. And I'm going to actually clean off my brush, because if I start with a clean brush, it's going to give me more white, because if I do it with the blue in it, first of all, it's going to get blue into my white, which I don't want. But also because I really want this to have as much white on it as possible. We want a pretty light sky. So remember, I'm brushing the bottom of my cup here. And make sure to wipe pretty well, because you don't want water dripping on your canvas. That thing right there, you know, the canvas. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit of white, and I'm going to start coming in here. I'm just going to do some clouds down here. And all I'm doing is just kind of dotting. Now see how already the white's going away and it's blending with the blue because it's wet, and that's okay. So I'm going to wipe my brush again. I'm going to clean it again so I can get some pure white again. And come over here, do some more over here. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. All right, so up in here, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of white with a dirty brush, because I'm going to do some just, you know, kind of back and forth motions. I'm not trying real hard to make it look like any which way. And then I'm going to pick up some blue with my brush and come right, I didn't get quite enough on there, come right over it. And it's okay if you brush into your clouds. It's not a problem, because we're going to be going over that with some more white here in a minute. There we go. So that just makes it look like kind of choppy clouds in the sky. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush again. And I like to have my paper towel ready because I'm a dripper. I'm very bad about dripping. So I'm going to clean most of my water off of my brush, because this time I'm going to pick up the white. All right. And I don't want it to blend as much. And all I'm doing, because this is rounded, so all I'm doing is just tapping it. So I might pick up some more. Do some more down here. Give it that layered look. And then I'm going to do some wispiness here. So I'm just wisping back and forth. Like that. Let's do it on this side. Now this side is going to be covered by the lighthouse, so I'm not incredibly worried about how neat it looks. And we get our wispies. We'll do some layers here. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of water on here. I didn't wipe it. I didn't completely clean it. But I'm going to come in and just pick up a little bit of the white. And see, it's mixed with it a little bit just to make it kind of a light blue. And I'm just going to come in here at the bottom. There. Now, they have some gray in their clouds. I'm not going to add any gray. I might, we might when we do the rocks, because I'm going to be making gray for the rocks, so we might. But not yet. All right. So now, remember how at the beginning I kind of purpled up my color here? I'm going to do that again. Okay, so we're just going to add a little bit of red to our color here. So I just did like one drop worth, you know, so like a bloop. That's what that is. Okay. All right, so we're purpling this up some more. And I think I'm going to add just a little bit more blue. I think I want to darken this a little bit too. Not a ton. But remember, a little bit of blue goes a long way. Oops. The blue's wanting to join in the painting. Okay, this is nice. So like, look at the difference in those two colors. All right, so we're going to wet our brush and we're going to paint everything down here. Well, it's not going to be everything. It's going to be close to everything. So remember, when it's wet, we don't just stick it in the brush and stick it in the paint and start going. We mix it a little bit first. Look at that color. Woo, that's beautiful. All right, so I'm going to go right up to my line there. And how I do that, when you want a straight line in art, you don't move your wrist. You move your whole arm. Okay? So I want up here, so I'm going to move my whole arm. I'm just dragging that brush right along there, and that's going to give me a nice straight line. Look at that, y'all. That is beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous. All right, I need a little more water. All right, we don't have to paint all the way down over here because we've got like kind of a rocky area. But our rocky area does slope down, so I'm going to paint down over here. So back and forth strokes. All right. Now, if you're working with a regular canvas, something I want to mention, I'm using a canvas board, and I like this because you can frame them easier. But notice how thin this is. But a canvas, of course, is pretty thick. So you might want to paint your sides. Something else you can do is paint it a solid color when it's done. It's just go all the way around with the solid color. Okay. So this is pretty good. We've got a lot of leftover blue. So I'm probably going to try to save that. You can save your paints by wrapping it with plastic wrap and putting it in the freezer. All right, next color. Next color. Oops. Changing things on my screen. Okay. Let's do some choppiness in the water, actually. So what we're going to do, I'm going to pick up some white and just put some lines in the water. This is just going to be more towards the front because our water has a tendency to look darker the farther it goes back. So I'm blending this white pretty well. I don't want to have any like little wave crests or anything like that. I just want it to look like let's see, if we were going to have wave crests. Let me see how this looks. They'd be kind of in the front here. That's not too bad. All right. Test it out. You always test things out. And if you don't like it, you can blend it in. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right. That's a bit of all right. So let's keep that. And let's make our rock color. So we are going to mix our red. I don't know why I have yellow in my hand. Sorry. We're going to do red. And blue, which makes purple. The only reason I'm not using this color is because this color right here, because it's got white in it. So equal amounts of red and blue, or almost equal amounts. I'm putting a little bit less blue because remember I said the blue is pretty powerful. So we don't need as much of it. So let's go ahead and get those mixed up. Now, the opposite of purple is yellow. We already looked at the color wheel, but this already looks pretty black, but I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. So it will do two things. It's going to lighten it up, and it's going to make it brown. But what we really want is a gray. And gray and brown basically are the same color. Just one is a cooler version of the other. You didn't know that, I bet, did you? Now, depending on how much blue was in this, which there was quite a bit, it looks like, this is going to be kind of greenish color. So we can actually, we're going to need a really good green color. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually take some of this and put it over here because we're going to need a green, and it's like kind of a mossy green that we need. So I'm going to hang on to some of that. Okay. Before changing it. All right. Let's do a little more red, because the opposite of red is green. Look at that, green, red. So we want to brown it up. We need to add a little bit of red. We're just going to keep that red handy. Oops. Yeah, there we go. That's a nice brown. Who'd have thunk, right? That your Christmas colors of red and green would mix to make brown. Well, you now, because now you know that they are complementary colors, meaning opposite. Complementary colors are actually good in design because what happens is you can use them to make things stand out. That's why red and green is used in Christmas. They're really good colors because it stands out, right? You know, it makes things noticeable. Okay. Now, I need to add a little tiny bit of white to this. I'll wipe this before I pick up some white. Just to lighten this up a little bit. Give us a nice rocky color. Look how gray that is. Oh! Don't do that. All right, I'm going to show you how to fix something like this. It's still wet, right? Hopefully my paint underneath is not still wet, because here's what's going to happen. Good, it's not. Okay, get water and wipe it. Water. Wipe it. And then I'm going to start drying it. Water. Wipe it. Dry it. Wipe it. Well, I did say I wanted some gray in the clouds. So we're going to brush that in. And in fact, I'm just going to pick up a little bit. Might as well make it intentional, right? Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of white. Happy accidents, you know? You never can plan for everything. So all I'm doing now is just kind of working it in. But you can actually, if it's still wet, you can get it almost completely out. Now, this is more paint than I really wanted on here. So I'm just going to water some of this down and do what I did before. Pick some of it up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use my big brush. I think that's part of my problem here. Is that these are big brush clouds. but I was trying to use a small brush. All right, there we go. And see, we got our gray in our clouds. What? I know. It's magical, y'all. It's magical. All right, let's go back. Maybe not spill the paint on the canvas again. Actually, I'm going to use my big brush because we're doing this area down here. So I'm going to pick up some paint. Now remember, you want to wipe the water in the paint and not just pick it up. Okay. So I'm just letting it be kind of choppy. Our lighthouse is going to go right about there. Man, chat is quiet today. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday so far. I slept in late a little bit, till 9. I got a full 5 hours of sleep tonight. Last night, rather. Doing good. 5 hours, man. That's luxury. I'm going to get a little bit more water on my brush because I'm noticing it's dry brushing quite a bit. So mix it in. There we go. I guess I shouldn't be holding this over so you can't see it. That's not very helpful. All right, so I've got my rocky area here. Now I want this to be a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna come in while it's still wet, and I need more white paint on here. And this paper towel is like done, donezo. So I'm gonna get a new paper towel. All right, let's get some more white. I'm going to pick up some of the white. And I'm going to come in like right here. And then maybe right here. And I'm doing like little kind of stripe, like rocky, stripy areas. Right there maybe. I'm going to do another one right here. Oops, let's pick up some more. Right here. I'm just going to keep going. This is a little whiter than I would like that to be. Yeah. All right, so I've got all these like kind of rocky areas. All right, so now what we're going to do is a little bit of blending. So we're going to take our brush and dry it, and then we're going to come in right at the edges of everything. You might have to wipe your brush a couple of times. But you come in at the edges and feather. What I'm doing is called feathering, where I'm just dusting the edges with my brush. This actually makes me think of the snowy fields because it was very similar. So I'm dusting the edges, and what this does is it's creating these little areas that are going to have moss in them. It's going to look like mossy rock. So I'm just blending everything. Right, like I said, right at the edge. And all this does is create like a nice little gradient. Now it's a little tiny bit dry over on this side. So I got my brush wet before coming in. And all I'm doing is wiping any extra paint, you know, because I'm trying to do this like almost as a dry brush. There we go. All right. Now let's pick up a little bit of that mossy color. And I'm going to actually use my smaller brush for this. So remember I held out some of that green? So I'm just going to put a little bit of this here. We're going to be blending that too. Here. Got like a large patch of moss right there. All right, I think we're good with the moss. Now, let's get some down here. Now, I'm going to blend it. So we're doing the exact same thing. Get a clean brush on here and come in at our edges. All right. Just blending my edges, and I'm trying to go relatively quickly because I don't want anything to dry on me. I didn't put that much paint down, and it didn't have that much water in it. It's already starting to dry, so I want to Just blending. Trying to move as fast as I can. Like I said, I don't want it to dry. It's already starting to a little bit, so let's see. Let me get these big areas at least. Worst case scenario, if it dries, you can actually go in and just put a little bit more of the green paint and a little bit more of the white or gray paint. And just blend. This actually works, by the way, if you ever want to do a room, like you want to paint a room that looks like it's fading, you just paint two colors next to each other that you want to blend, you know, like say pink and orange, or rather pink and yellow. You want to make orange. I'm actually going to pick up a little bit of my gray here because there's a couple of areas that I'm not super keen on how they blended. Anyway, you paint the two colors next to each other, and then right on the line, you're going to start using a clean brush and painting the two colors together, just blending them together. You can brush up and down. I think it's this rock here. I think this rock. Let's see, I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. I don't want it to be quite that dark. Anyway, so you can get cool shading and stuff done just in painting a room. This dried a little on me, and I think that's what's causing the problem. Yeah, that's better. Except I didn't really want that to be dark. Hold on. I don't know what happened there. Trying to kind of be cognizant too of where my light source might be. I don't know actually where it is. I think the light source is coming in from this side based on the picture, the reference photo. Okay. I'm looking at that. Let's see. Right up here where the lighthouse is, I'm going to get some gray and some white. Because my light source is going, if it is hitting from this side, I think that's going to be a little lighter there. I just picked up a little bit of gray paint because it was just a little bit too much white. So I'm just mixing right on the canvas. Like I said, we're gangster here. We mix on the canvas. None of that, palette mixing stuff. Just kidding. You can mix in the palette. I kid. Well, and now I covered up like half of my green. It doesn't look right to me. What doesn't look right about it? Probably because it mixed in some green. So let's... I'm also going to add some areas of dark where I'm not going to blend it in, because I think that'll look interesting. It does. It does. So maybe just like in a couple of the little places here. Maybe not blending it. Oops. That was quite a bit more than I wanted. Yep, just a tiny bit of gray paint to mix in here. Okay. I am going to blend these two. It's a little bit of back and forth here where I'm going back and forth with the white and the gray, but that's okay. All right, we're going to stop messing with this. I'm going to call it completed so we can get to our lighthouse. I like it. It's fine. Little craggy, rocky, something or other. Let's see. I'm just going to put some shadow on this side so it shows that there's like a rock there. And that's actually how you add the shadow, by the way. Like if you have, like, let's say I've got some shadow over here. Maybe a little bit of shadow right there. It just shows that our rock is like facing away from the light source. So this area here is going to be much lighter. Oops. I think there was a little bit more paint there than I anticipated. Okay. I'm going to stop messing with this. I already told you I was going to stop messing with it, but I wanted to show you what you could do to get shadow and everything here. Okay, but I didn't actually want a shadow there. So I'm just going to paint right over it. I'm probably okay with the shadow right there. All right. I just deleted my shadow. You know, it happens anyway. We're leaving it alone. All right, let's move on to the lighthouse. And I've destroyed another paper towel. So, one more. Actually, I'm just kidding. It'll probably be way more than one. All right. Let's go ahead and start our lighthouse. So first, we are going to, oh, look, I dripped, don't drip. So now I've got like this nice little I'm going to just paint over it with a little bit of blue. I have this nice kind of watery area there. A little water drip. Okay, so for our lighthouse, let's see what colors we're going to use. So we're going to take our gray color. I'm going to start with the gray color. And with my little brush, the round brush, I'm going to mark the top of the lighthouse. I'm going to put the top, let's see. We want it to be right about here. So I'm going to do the top of the lighthouse right there. We want to give it enough room on either side. Okay. Then we are going to do let's see, how do I want to do this? Okay, we're just going to go ahead and do your best to do a straight line going all the way down. Okay. And then we're going to have our base. Now our base is kind of behind rocks, so all right. Then we're going to let's see. Probably about 1.5 inches down. I'm going to go look at the actual reference photo. Yeah, maybe 2 inches. I'm going to do a little line going across there. So it's going to look like a T. All right, so from this T, we're going to have a little line. So we're drawing right now with our paintbrush. And probably right about here is where we're going to actually do our kind of roof shape. Okay, and then underneath this, I'm going to come out just a little bit more on each side. And these scoop in to where they're right underneath this right here. So it's going to scoop in. And then this is going to go out to our base. So if our base comes to here, it's going to scoop out there. So I'm just trying to keep my eyeball on this mark here. Like that. And I'm going to do the same. It's okay if it's a sketchy line. It's not a problem. I'm going to do the same here. So I've got scoop this, and I'm going to do my best to try to keep this line as my guide. Pretty good. Not too bad. Not too shabby. All right. So let's see. Now we have a little like let's see. Here we've got a line that comes down. And this is actually going to spread out just a little bit. Again, you're just doing your best to try to get a straight line. It's okay. These are just guides. We're going to be painting over them. This must be still a little wet from when I did the gray. So I just got a little paint on me. Okay, so then we'll have another line here. There. All right. And here we're going to have a line that comes across. Now, over here on this side, we've got a little building. So we're going to draw a little line here. And it's going to have like a diagonal roof. Like that. Okay. Now let's see. Let's go ahead. I'm going to get a little bit of water just to make this more fluid. And we're going to do, I'm trying to be careful of where I'm laying my finger and my arm. All right, so we're going to do a window up at the top. We're just going to do this gray rectangle. We're going to do another one right above the horizon. Try to make it about the same as the one above it. And then we're going to do another one down at the bottom. This doesn't go all the way to the bottom. We don't see the door. I guess the door is on the side here. And then there's another little window. There. We're almost done with our windows. Okay, now, actually we are done with our windows for just a moment. All right, up here we're going to make this into a little bit of a rectangle, this little thing at the top. And then we're going to, on the inside here, let's see. Let's do a line going across here. On the inside, we've got this, it's the actual light. Getting it wet a little bit more. Okay. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I kind of messed up. Since it's still wet, I can come in with the dry brush and just clean it up. Just like I did in the clouds. And actually, let me see if this is still wet. It is. All right. I think I made this a little bigger than I wanted to, so since it's still wet. If it wasn't, I could come in with some blue or something and fix it, but I'm not going to because it's still wet enough where I can clean it up. All right, that's good enough. I just wanted to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. That's better. Okay. And we're going to do another line. It goes here. It's slightly angled up on the sides. All right, let's get some color in this baby. Let's do it. Okay. So what we need to do is we are going to mix just a tiny bit of gray into our white. Just a tiny bit. So see, I barely picked any up. And I actually want probably just a tiniest bit of yellow in this too. That is just like a little bit, well, actually I'm okay with this because that's going to keep with the cool tones I've already got. If I added a little yellow, that would warm that up a little bit. I don't know if I want to do that. So here's what we're going to do. Get my brush wet. I'm just grabbing some of this off because I didn't make very much before I clean it. So I'm going to wipe this off. Okay, so our purest color is going to be on the outside here. So in my very first section that I made, we're going to put our whitest color, which is this light white gray that we made. Probably help if I stayed in my lines. Okay, so need a little bit of water here just to kind of lubricate it a little bit. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to go right at the edge here. let's see. I'm trying to hold my brush so that I get a really nice straight line. All right. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just making kind of an angle there. And then we're gonna leave a little bit of our dark there. All right. Now, we are going to move on to our second color, our middle color. Oh, hey! I've read the sequel. I haven't talked to you in forever. We've swapped a couple food pics. Yes, I do stream. I stream art classes. So welcome to my stream. All right, so what we're doing, I also stream crochet on Tuesdays, and I may be doing cooking soon, so we shall see. All right. I want to reserve just a little bit of this color out so we don't completely lose it. But then I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my dark, my gray, and I'm going to mix it in, and we're going to darken this up just slightly. Yes, I do. Well, I really enjoy streaming, and I enjoy teaching, so yeah, it's pretty fun. And normally it's a little bit more busy. Today, it looks like you may be the only viewer right now. Normally I at least have like 5 or 6 people on, and I do have people that actually follow the class and do the paintings or the drawings with me, but today's just quiet, and that's all right. Okay. So I've got this slightly darker gray. So today we're doing a lighthouse, as you can see. So I'm getting my brush wet, and I'm going to come in just at the edge of this new gray that we've got. And I'm going to start painting the next slice, the next section. Now, it's important that you paint over the dark color, right? Because we don't want to see that. So I'm going to be very careful around my windows. So all I'm doing is trying to keep an even stroke, and that way I get a nice clean line. Well, thank you. Yes, I like my clouds. That's probably my favorite part so far, is my clouds. But I have a lot of practice doing clouds, so it's almost like cheating. Because I've been, I do clouds in a lot more paintings than I do lighthouses, All right, so I'm getting this line as straight as I can. All right. Let's see if we can get the other side. Straight as I can, down the angle. So how's everything going in New Jersey? Joyzy. Still hanging out with family? I actually just went to go see my sister in Pensacola yesterday. Well, I went on Wednesday. Ah, you're in New York. Oh, I see. Your family is in New York. Okay. Cool. I don't know why I just assumed they were in New Jersey too. I guess that was a kind of a weird assumption on my part. Okay. So this window here, I made a little bit longer. So we're just going to fix that, you know. Oh yeah, that's true. All there together. I've actually only been to North Jersey. Even though I've lived in the South my whole life, because I visited some friends who had a house in the Poconos, and so I actually like came around through New York and down into Paramus. Now, so that's the only place I've been. I'm sure that's representative of all of Jersey, right? Just kidding. It seemed very busy, and I almost died 3 times in my car because people drive so insanely there, and everyone loves their horn. Oh my goodness. Everybody loves the horn. I have never felt like so much of an outsider before. Like, and I couldn't pump my own gas. Ugh. It was fun though. It was fun. The only reason I went in was I went to visit some friends. One lived up in the Catskills and the other one lived in South Jersey. And so we all kind of met in the middle to have lunch. It was nice. It was a nice visit. So you don't go travel around? Man, I can't not travel. It's so funny. I used to think I wasn't like my sister because my sister travels, but a lot more than I do. I mean, she goes to other countries and things like that, and I just haven't done too much of it. But I do like to travel in state. Like when I lived in North Carolina, I traveled around the state quite a bit. North Carolina is really beautiful. Yeah. Well, maybe you'll have to venture out after all of this hashtag Corona stuff is done. But at least hopefully you're being careful right now. I mean, I assume that you are. Yeah. This is some craziness. I had a little cough this morning, and it's probably allergies, but I had a little cough, and I'm grabbing my inhaler oh my God, I've got to get rid of this. I'm fine. I'm sure I'm fine. Although I did just travel. It's probably not the smartest of ideas. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to even out my windows, because see, they're all 3 different. They're supposed to be the same size. So I'm just coming in and just trying to very carefully even them out. Even if they're just kind of close. Yeah, it is scary. Well, what was really scary is that so it's just an albuterol inhaler, and I only have it because I get pneumonia very easily. Yay. But if I get any kind of cough, I'm very at risk for getting pneumonia. So it's something because I got it back in 2015. Anyway, so all I have to do is if I feel like I'm getting a little cough, I use my inhaler, and it usually keeps it out of my lungs, and everything's fine. And I'm talking about coughing, so now I feel like I got a cough. So the same thing happened today. It may just be allergies, and that's fine. I mean, I don't think that I'm actually sick, but I haven't taken the albuterol in a while, and it's a steroid. And so all of a sudden I started getting really shaky and started feeling kind of lightheaded. I'm going, what is going on? I forgot that, yeah, I just, took steroids. So, so that was fun. It was fun trying to figure out, like, what's going on? Like this, am I really sick? No, I don't think I am. Okay, look at that. One line. My windows look great. Okay. So I'm just kind of evening things out. But see how this is slightly darker than this? So we're giving it the idea that it's turning away from the light source, which the light source is coming from this direction. Okay. Now, oh, we got to do this little area down here. Almost forgot. Okay. Now, let's mix in a little bit more gray, okay? So we're going to, and I see something here that I'm not actually a fan of. Hang on. Before I move on, this should not turn in here. This should go straight up and down. Let's see if I can. Okay. I don't know why that's so much lighter, but whatever. We're gonna leave it. Maybe somebody did something with the paint. Maybe it's gonna dry. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more of the gray. So I'm just picking up just a tiny bit. I don't want too much. And I'm gonna mix it in. And we're going to mix this, make this just a little darker. Actually, I might need more of the gray than I grabbed. I think I do. Hold on. There we go. It's such a tiny amount, it's hard to tell, what's going to be enough. I guess it's better to go less than more, right? So have you been keeping busy? Are you working from home? Oh, banana bread. Oh, well, I forgive you for banana bread. Man, I need to make some of that. That sounds delicious. You'll have to post a picture. Okay. So here's our little bit darker. Banana bread trumps almost everything, honestly. Banana bread. That sounds delicious. Okay. So now we're coming in. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for stopping by. And yes, please tell me on Discord about it. But I appreciate you stopping by. It's good to see you. Okay. So I'm being careful to do my lines. Get nice clean lines. And I have like so little color left. I'm really trying to like scrape by painting off of the palette knife here. Okay. All right. Now this window is a little smaller, but I'm not going to worry about that right now, just yet. All right, I'm going to cheat just a little bit. It's not really cheating, but I'm going to turn my painting sideways because this paint is wet and I don't want to stick my arm in it. But that's the beauty about working on like a 9 by 12 is because it's small enough that you can, I'm getting a little bit of water, I'm putting it in here. It's small enough that you can turn it and do things with it. Okay, so this way, I can get a nice clean line going straight down. Okay. Now, as I get to my window, I'm going to be very careful. Do a clean line going straight across. Oop, you know what? No, I didn't. I'm good. I thought I painted over my line here at the bottom, but I didn't. Okay. And get a little bit of water. Okay. Let us get as close as we can to this window at the top. Turning it this way. I'm right-handed, so all right. Then I can actually scoop up my sides. Turn it again. There we go. Then we get a much cleaner little rectangle of a window. Okay. So far, so good. We're doing good. All right, down here, we can't forget about this area. Okay, now, our last, but definitely not least, we are going to mix a decent amount of our gray in. So I'm picking up good chunk. And don't forget, I've kept this a little bit of this light color here for highlights later. We will have a couple highlights. All right, that's maybe even a little bit darker than that. Because this is the very back of our oh, you know what? I forgot to paint an area. Well, all right. It's okay. We're doing good. Okay. Let's pick up some of this dark. We're going to come in. Right up. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to paint as carefully as we can with this dark color. And then I'm going to turn it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it. Decisions. Okay, so remember we want to get right on that line so that we don't see any of our dark. All right, now on this side, we're going to go ahead and paint our little house or whatever it is, the door. We're going to paint just this side. All right. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the dark color, not much, and I'm going to come in here right there, and that's it. Just a little bit, but just to show that the roof, this little roof has an overhang. Okay, now we need this dark color to be in some other places. So we're going to bring it in here, and it's going to come down just a little bit, go across here, and come up to here. And this is like our shadow up at the top. Now I want to blend this a little bit. I don't want it to be quite so dark. So what I'm doing is taking a clean brush and coming in right at the edge. And then for the darkest part, we're going to actually take some of our dark gray and come up here. Like that. All right. Now we're going to do some details over the windows. So let's get some of our dark color. And what we're going to do is it's going to be, uh-oh, I dropped water on my. It's going to be a line straight across and then a triangle. Oops, I didn't mean to use, I'm using the wrong color. Guys. Okay, hold on, let me get this off real quick. It's still wet, so I can still get it off. I used the wrong gray. Oops. Okay, it's okay. Luckily, it was not dry. It was not dry yet. All right, let's start with another window and let that kind of dry off a little bit. All right, so we've got, we're going to pick up the dark gray that we just made, so it's not quite that dark. And we're going to do our little triangle. Here. just like that. Might need a little bit more water because we want this to be very fluid. We'll do another little triangle. Well, it's not really a triangle, it's really just like a carrot. Let's try this again up here with the correct. Okay, now remember how we saved a little bit of this lightest color? We're going to come in here, and right on top of that, we're going to just, hold on. I had too much paint on my brush. Man, it's hard when you get down to these like little tiny areas. There we go. All right, so we're going to pick up a little tiny bit more. Okay, and right on top of this. My top one's very wet. Yeah. Now what are you going to do? Okay, now I'm going to take my dark gray and I'm going to come in this kind of crack that we left here. All right, now I want to blend that, so I'm going to come in and just go right at the bottom, right at the edge. Okay. I actually see some blue areas over here. I don't know if my hand just like touched on it or what, but we're going to lighten that up just a little bit more. And that's going to really bring that out. Let's see. Get some water, because remember we need it to be kind of fluid. Okay, now let's see where else. Oh, okay, there's one more place where we have a highlight. Almost missed it. And that is going to be right across the top here. So very carefully. And I'm going to leave a little break. Well, I guess I don't have to leave a little break. That. Pick up a little tiny bit of the darkness. The darkness. Okay. Now, I'm fine with the bottom part of the lighthouse. Okay. We need to do our red. Now, remember this area here, I accidentally used up all of my lighter color. So we're going to take a little bit of this gray, now that we've done our light area, bring it in here, and we're going to mix some of our white in with it. Okay. So it's lighter. And then we're going to actually just paint. Right up to that line. Turn it. All right. That. Okay. Okay, let's mix our red. Let's do our red. Let's see. I do see one more area. Nope. I don't. Nope. I'm good. I'm going to stop for now. Let's mix the red. Let's do this. Okay. So for the red, we are going to use, let's see. I'm going to go back up and look at the original picture to see. I don't know if I trust this. Well, that's pretty red. Okay, so let's do straight up red. I don't need much of it. Let's make this a little browner. So I'm mixing in a little bit of brown. Let's see, I'm gonna actually, oops, like half a drop there. Let me close this here. So you don't want to leave your paints open because they are acrylic, they will dry. Well, I mean, oil's dry too, but they just take a lot longer, so. Okay. All right, so let's mix this up. See what we get. Just trying to tone down this red a little bit. And I may even mix in some of that gray. We'll see. Actually, that's a really nice color. I think I like this color. I don't think I want to mess with it. Okay. So we're not going to add any gray or anything weird like that. Let's just keep going with it. Okay. So I'm going to take my small brush, mix in the water, and I'm going to start doing the angles. Now these angles are actually similar to the ones that we had down below. But I'm going to start by painting everything red. And then we're going to draw our angles in there. All right, now there is like a little thing up at the top that's red. So I'm gonna just paint that up there. I don't even know what that is. Some kind of little beacon, probably. And I think I made my beacon too, made my beacon too big. So while it's still wet, I'm just gonna pick up some of that with a dry brush. There we go. Okay. My beacon is a little bit bigger than the... Here's what I'm going to do, because I don't want to be messing with this beacon because it's so small. I'm taking a little bit of the dark gray and mixing it on this side, the left side. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my lightest gray here, and I'm mixing a little on this side. And that's it. Not doing anything else. Okay, so let's get some more red. And let's come in here and paint some things. Let's paint the things. So we've got our red comes down here. Now, this has red at the bottom too. So I'm trying to be real careful around my white because I don't want to mess up the white that I just so very meticulously painted, right? Okay. Alright, so we've got some paint down here. Now, let's do some things. First and foremost, we're not worrying about the door just yet, okay? First and foremost, let's get some of our light color. And we're going to come in here on this side and just paint that in. Okay, then we're going to take a little bit of our grayish color and do that. Okay. Now we can blend this if we want. Like if you want to come in here and blend this so that it's a nice pinkish color, we can. I want to do it up there too if you're going to do it. Or you can leave it looking kind of choppy. I'll blend it because I've already started doing that, you know. got to stick with what you got. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more red since we're doing the blending. If we weren't blending, I would have just left it that white. All right, I'm going to blend in here. Okay. Now we're going to do, this color here is actually like the red of the red, so we don't really need to do very much. We can maybe, you know, just polish it up a little bit with some lines so that it looks similar to what we did over here. And then we're going to mix in a little bit of dark gray on this side. Okay, so don't forget we gotta grab our red. Because we're gonna mix it with that dark gray. All right, now with this dark color, let's see, let's just mix some of that. We're just going to make a little bit of this. We're going to pick up some of this dark gray and just mix it right in there. So we have this nice, see what I'm doing? This nice dark kind of reddish gray color because we've mixed in there. Okay. So with this, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to come in, let's see. We're going to do a line right through here. Actually, I kind of want this to be even darker for this. Let's see. And then let's do, what we're going to do is this door here. We're going to do with this dark gray first, and then we're going to blend the red right over it. I'm going to turn it sideways. I need a little bit of water. It's not wanting to cooperate. It's dry brushing. I went just a little bit over my threshold, so I'm just getting my clean brush and cleaning it. Remember I said you can clean it while it's still wet. There we go. Now let's get some red over this. The reason we're doing it so dark over here is because remember it's in the shadow. Okay, we're going to leave that because we're going to do a little doorknob there, but we're not going to do that just yet. So, let's see, what else do we have to do? I want to take a little bit of this dark color and come around just kind of at the top of my little windows up here. And then I'm going to do this balcony. So I'm going to do a line over here. And a line on this side. Okay. Let's get our lines in here first. So there's a line right here because this is where our sections are. There's one right here. All right. Now we're going to connect them. Oh, there's one over here too. Connecting them. And then there's going to be a little kind of a second tier there. There we go. Look at that. Okay, this should be dry enough to get a doorknob on there. So we're going to take that brown we've got and just dot it right there. If you want, there are some things we can do. I do want to make a little bit of a black real quick and then we're done. So to make black, you need brown and purple. Now I already have some green on here, so I'm just going to use this green because it's pretty dark. Because nobody's going to be able to tell. That's not enough. Get some red in there. We're just making up colors. But if you mix red and green, what do you get? Brown. So we'll just get, so we've got a nice reddish brown there. We're going to add just a little bit of pure blue to that. And we get our black. Remember, the blue is very overwhelming. Black. It's like magic, y'all. So purple and brown make black. So I just mixed red, blue, and some brown. Okay. Let's put the top back on here. Okay, now I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this black. We're just going to get a few little shadows in here. So I'm get some water. Get some of my new black that I just made. It's not totally black, it's just dark. All right, there's going to be shadow right to the inside right of the window. Why? Because our light source is coming from this way. So right on the inside of that window is going to be very dark because it's all shadow. Okay. Let's see, I'm just gonna dot that doorknob. I'm gonna just put some like little stripes there, and there's also some black right here on the light itself, on the front and the back. Okay, now we need to blend this. This is very dark, so I'm just gonna blend here, blend here. Okay, and then our little guy over here. And I'm looking to see if there's anywhere that I forgot. Oh, yeah, we need a little bit of shadow here. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of my kind of medium gray here. And I'm just going to come right underneath. Oops, that's not dark enough. Can't even see it. So I'm going to come in with a little bit of gray, right? Oops. That was more than I wanted, but it's okay. It should blend because I put a little bit of the light color there first. Yep. It's blending. So we're good. There we go. All right. I think we're good. I like it. I'm gonna call it. So, we need to sign. And I've been signing in gold a lot lately. That's all right. So let's do a little critique. I'm going to be wrapping this in plastic because there's a lot of extra color here. So if you wrap it in plastic and put it in the freezer, you can hang on to your color. Okay, let me take that out now that I'm done. Okay. So we're almost done. Let's just take a look at this and see what we've got. All right, so we've got our rocks in the front. I could probably continue to work on the rocks if I wanted to. I mean, I'm fine with them the way they are. They're not great, but they're not terrible either. Really like the lighthouse. I'm very much a fan of like the lighting and everything that we got in here. Really like the clouds. As I've read the sequel mentioned earlier, we've got the, nice big fluffy clouds going in, and because I made that mistake, got a little bit of gray in there too. I think overall this is huge success. I just realized there is something in this picture that I don't have in mine. And that is some seagulls. So we're going to do a seagull right here. So what you do is kind of it's a V with like a little line underneath it. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, because we need to, these are white tipped seagulls. So we're gonna get a little bit of that light gray that I still have saved. Not actually the biggest fan of seagulls, but they're in the picture. All I'm doing right now is just picking up some of the extra paint because I put kind of a lot of paint down when I did this. So it's the same thing, just drying off the paint. All right, that's good. So we've got our seagulls now. And we're good to go. I like it. I'm calling it. Ta-da! Okay, so my next class is my crochet class, which is next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you are very interested in that, which I highly suggest, because it's something like you can crochet in meetings and all kinds of things. There's all kinds of situations that you could be crocheting, and it helps you focus. Because it actually works a lot of different parts of your brain when you crochet. It's kind of it's both a very analytical thing because there's a lot of patterns and structure to it, but then it's also very creative. So anyway, while if you are interested in learning that, go back and watch my very first class, which was this past Tuesday. The VOD for that should just be called Beginner Crochet or something like that. I would go watch that. It will tell you what supplies to get. All you need is yarn and a hook, but it will tell you like what size to get and everything and show you how to figure that out. Tuesday, I will be teaching the single crochet. I'm going to be teaching from scratch basically, but single crochet is all you need to start crocheting. So I'm going to teach that on Tuesday. Next week, next Friday, we are going to be doing some steampunk art, which I have never done before. So this will be new. So we're going to do a steampunk frog next Friday, and I do my drawing classes on Friday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you there. Thank you for joining me today, and have a wonderful weekend.